Great. One day you made a name for yourself. Big man, stand up.
Oh,
Man, you're don't whine.
I'm trying to make you feel good.
Oh, I'm a has-been.
Here we go.
Look at that. I had to block guys like this. This was, oh.
Didn't stand a chance.
I know. Okay, so, Mike, you're living a dream come true. I mean, so what do you love? Just right off the cuff, what do you love about this game of football? What is so special about it? What do you love about playing this game?
I just love what it teaches me. You know, everybody, all the campers, and if you aren't a camper, feel free to come out and enjoy it. But you see my enthusiasm. You see the discipline that I have with everything that I'm doing, paying attention to the little details, and you know, just paying respect to the game that has given so much to me in material things, materialistically, as well as emotionally and spiritually. So, you know, outside, that's all away from the field. You know, yeah, I can talk about football and everything that it's done for me without even mentioning playing in the game. So, that's what I love the most about it is everything that it's done for me off the field and how it's made me a man off the field and away from the field. And I hope to use that same message for my campers, and hopefully I'll be able to say a little something to you all tonight to help you see things the way I see it.
So this is a picture before a game?
This is a picture before a game.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about what's that anticipation like? I mean, you're just running through the tunnel. You got the smoke going. Your adrenaline is pumping. Give us a picture of what is going through your mind.
Yeah. So every game, it's funny. As you said, I do this before every game, and nobody ever catches it, but they just so happen to catch me this time. But there's a hawk that flies out before we go. I mean, they let the hawk go, and then we go. And so literally right after the hawk, you know, I just come out with my arms, you know, like the hawk. But it's really just everything that you put in that week. It's much like a work week for you all, and then the weekend hits. So you anticipating something hitting on that weekend. It's the same feeling I get here. It's the same feeling I think a lot of us get. You put in all that work behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that people don't know about. And then when it finally comes to game day, it's like, this is it. You're sitting at the tunnel, the Hawks sitting right here, and then they introduce the Seattle Seahawks, and then the ball goes off, and I run out to the stadium filled with 12s. If you don't know, come to Century Link and you will know. But filled with 12s, and they're just yelling and screaming, and it's so much more than me, you know, and that's I don't know, man. It's just a feeling of relief right there, and happiness, joy, all of it bundled in one picture right there. It's like, man, this is it, you know. This is what I trained for. This is what I practiced for. So that's what that is.
Awesome. No, I don't mean to take away from some things you may be saying, but you look great on the outside here.
That's right.
But yes, you are. Your knee is fixed, but your knee's not 100% yet.
Not at all.
What took place? And then just also tie that in what you have to share with us. Buddy.
Right. So for those of you who don't know, now can I pull up my chair now? You may get this here going. I'm gonna get to this knee thing, but I'm gonna let y'all know that if how they make those smoothies downstairs, I don't understand how y'all make it to service. I would camp out right there, you know, like a wino. I mean, just tip it. Those things are phenomenal. I'm not sure who does that, but I'm not sure if they're ever. But those things are phenomenal. Thank you for that. But yeah, so my knee, obviously my wheel, just going through the normal drills. We had been back 1 week exactly, and I'm just going through my normal everyday drills, and I felt the ache in my knee. I get to practice, go through the drill. I remember saying to myself on my way to practice, I just need to make sure I ice today. Go through drills, every drill that I've been doing for a long time, and stumble, take a wrong step, plant the wrong way, and pop. There goes my ACL. And they didn't know the first day. And then a couple days later, we found out the bad news. So 2 weeks later, here I am, laid up in the an operating room. They cut me open, get it going, and I just moved forward with the rehab. And here I am. Here I am, still chugging along. It was actually it'll be 9 weeks out from surgery on Thursday, and I'm way ahead of schedule. As you can tell, a lot of you wouldn't even know. When I tell people, I tell them I'm not Adrian Peterson, so I don't get the coverage he does, but I am moving right along. So you all are my millions, and I am ESPN, so I have to know that Greg Scruggs is moving right along ahead of schedule, okay? But, in sharing my story tonight, as I began to think about what I want to share, my testimony with you all, some of you were here last year. I think a lot of you weren't, because there's a lot more people here this year than there were last year, and we appreciate you all coming out. But to speed up my youth, single mom, 4 kids, $20,000 a year. My father died when I was 8 years old. Do I need to say anything else? And that was pretty much the story. And I think that's the story for a lot of people, and a lot of people can relate to that. And so obviously when my father passed away at 8 years old, that was an adverse time. That was a trying time. And that really challenged me to become who I am. Now, I was raised in the church, born and raised. I mean, from the time I was young, I tell people the story. I was that kid. On Sunday morning, we went to church. We left church to go to Golden Corral to get something to eat. And then we were back at church after Golden Corral. And then Monday night was Bible study. Tuesday was choir rehearsal. Wednesday, I was that kid in church. So, laying on the pews, trying to flip over and do everything else because I didn't really understand this. But that's how I was raised. So I was always a man of faith. And even at that trying time at 8 years old, I didn't realize that Jesus was doing something with my life. He was working on me in the ways that I couldn't even imagine. So then you fast forward, I get into a program, and then I enter this program called Boys Hope, Girls Hope. I actually have one here in Denver. It's in Parker, actually. Enter this program, Boys Hope, Girls Hope, and it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. But at the time, I was ready to go. I was ready to leave. But once again, see, God had this plan going on in my life that I didn't understand. So I called my mother on this one somber night, and I said, "Ma, come get me. I'm out. I'm done. I don't like this place. I don't like these people. Just let me come home." See, my mother the next day, she sat down, had a talk with me, said, "You don't understand what this is going to do for you. Please just stay, give me one more try." And I stayed, and then that program led to me going to St. Xavier High School, which led to me getting my first football scholarship, which led to me doing draft training, which led to me getting here. But see, that was another example of how God was working on my life in ways that I couldn't even imagine. And I'm getting back to these stories so you all just remember them. And then I moved forward to my college years, and college is supposed to be the greatest time of your life. But see, my first year we went 5 and 2, and my second year we went 4 and 8. Whoa, this is not what it's supposed to be. But see, I remember talking to my best friends. There were 3 of us. We went to college together. I remember talking to them, say, "Hey, let's go, let's out. We're going to Illinois. No sense in beating our faces here anymore." But yet, we fought the good fight, we stayed, got a new coach, and things turned around for the best. God was doing something on my life. Jesus was working on my life, and I had no idea what he was doing. Fast forward, then we go to my senior year. I was a captain of the defense. I was now playing 2 positions, probably one of few people in big division when they ball that was going to play both two sides of the ball, tight end and defensive end. I get down the lineup to block somebody on the goal line, the freak accident happens, I get turf toe. There goes my senior year like that. Preseason first team all Big East. Preseason defensive player of the year in Big East. Potential first round draft pick, boom, just like that. But see, I didn't get discouraged. What I did say is I'm going to work through this, and I'm going to fight through this to show people that I can do this. God was doing something in my life that I had no idea. So then you move forward through my senior year, some adversity, some trying times. Into my senior year, if you were here last year, you heard this story. I had a young lady who was a friend of mine who needed a ride home. They said, "If you take her home and she's going to jail," I hopped in the car. It was my graduation night. I was 21 years old, so I had a couple beers. Nothing crazy. I had practice at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I dropped her off 45 minutes away from where we were. My house was just 3 to 5 minutes away. I go on my way, I fall asleep at the wheel. I come back, call the cops, say, "Hey, I fell asleep at the wheel. I hit a light pole going 60 miles per hour. My car's fine, I'm good." "No, my car's totaled, I'm fine. Can you come help me?" Guy shows up, said, "Yeah, you got somebody you can call?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "Call him." Another cop pulls up, says, "Sir, step out the car for me." what you been doing? I step out the car. He asked me if I had drunk a couple drinks. I tell him yes. He runs me through a breathalyzer test. He puts me through the sobriety test. He says I failed. In the back of my mind, I know I did. He says, so I'm going to have to take you under arrest for driving under the influence. I said, sir, I wouldn't have called you if I felt like I was drunk. I fell asleep at the wheel. No, sir, I'm sorry. It is what it is. So we go through the whole process. I go to court, I fight it because I knew I wasn't drunk. That gets thrown out. But once again, there was an adverse time in my life. Jesus was working on me, and I didn't even know it. So that next day after I had my DUI, I call my mother. I'm embarrassed to call. I call my mother. She comes and she sits down with me, and I sit on her and sit. That's the first time I never tell my mother about any of my adversities in college. She sits on my lap. I sit on her lap. Yes, a grown man, 21 years old. I sat on my mother's lap. You daggone right I did. And I cried. And I cried and I cried. And I played two songs. The first song is No Weapon Formed Against Me Shall Prosper by Fred Hammond. I played that song on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. And then the second song was a song, it's by a gentleman who sang it at a funeral. And it was Marvin Sapp, who's a world-renowned gospel recording artist. He was burying his wife. And a guy named Jonathan Dunn was singing the song at his wife's funeral. And there was a certain part in the song, the whole song is great, but there's a certain part in the song where he says, the devil is defeated. And then I see Marvin Sapp come up off the pew and come grab the mic to start singing. And he points at his wife's casket. And every time he points at it, he says, the devil is defeated. The devil is defeated. And I let that resonate in my mind because every time I thought about my trying times to this point, I said, man, the devil is defeated. I'm still here. I fell asleep at the wheel. I veered my car up the expressway going 60 miles per hour. I hit a light pole, dead smack down the middle. I didn't walk away with a scratch. I said, the devil is defeated. I said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So then that next day we go to church service. It was a church service, and in the Bible it was Matthew 23 through 27. And the story was a storm at sea. And when I was reading my Bible, there's different translations of the storm at the lake. And it's when Jesus says, tell all his disciples, he says, come on, we're going to cross the lake. And so they hop in the boat, and they get out to the middle of the sea, and then a big storm hit. And then it says, waves rocked against the boat. Wind rocked this boat. He said the storm was so big that water flew over the sides and came into the middle of the boat. Now, if you've ever rowed in the boat, you know that if water begins to come on to the ship, that ship's going under. But for some reason, this boat that lay with Jesus in the back still asleep did not go under, it didn't sink. And so that began to resonate with me. It began to sit with me as I thought about everything. He said, man, you are this boat. I sat down, I go off on a tangent. I sat down at that altar. It was a 9:30 service, and 11 o'clock service. So I went down for altar call at the 9:30 service, and I sat down on my knees and cried and prayed and thanked the Lord until altar call at 11 o'clock service. See, Jesus was doing something in my life that I didn't realize at that time. So as I began to think and as he began to talk to me, I said, oh, this is just the wind against the boat. You see, I'm sitting in this boat right now. And I'm having all this water come in, but yet I still hear. See, when I hit that light pole, that was the water falling into my boat. But somehow I didn't sink. I'm still here. I'm standing at this altar, the next church service, not a scratch on my body. Still here. And then they said they go into the back, they do everything they can. They wake up, Jesus said, Jesus, you got to help us. How do you lay still? Do you not feel this boat about to sink? And he wakes up and said, oh, ye a little faith. And then he says, peace, be still, and the water's calm. See, I stood at church that next day and I cried and I thought about all the turmoil I had caused. Not a scratch on my record. I was the captain of the defense. And I sat here at this altar and said, Lord, what have I done? Please help me, save me, save me, save me. He said, whoa, son, peace. Be still. Everything's okay. Everything will be all right. I'm not sure who I'm talking to. I'm not sure who this story is with. I'm not sure what everybody's going through. At any point in time in your life, But that effort's that trying time, saying, man, ooh, I can't even relate. But that's just wind against the boat. That's just the water overflowing. But if you're going through something, you're sitting here, I got something to say to you, you're here. Get on your hands and knees and pray. Open up your hearts, open up your minds, your souls, relate to him, talk to him so he can tell you, like he told me that trying time, peace, whoa, be still. So I use that and I use that as I move forward. And then there was the second scripture, it was Proverbs 16:9. If you were at Pine Creek, you heard me talk about this. Proverbs 16:9 says, a man's heart maketh his path, but God establishes his ways. Same thing, it was interesting hearing him say that at the beginning, where he said he had all these hopes and dreams of going to the Air Force Academy and graduating. See, I had all these hopes and dreams. I was also going to go to the Air Force Academy. I was going to be a fighter pilot. I knew that through and through. No football. And if I couldn't be a fighter pilot, I was going to fly cargo. And then when I got done flying cargo, I was going to fly commercial planes for Delta, my favorite airline. That's it. And I knew that from the bottom of my heart. But then I had to let go. I had to get on my hands and knees. I had to pray. There were things that were bothering me as I got to the NFL. There were things I wanted to do. There was stuff I wanted to see. But I had to realize that God had a much greater plan for my life than what I had. See, my heart was making my ways. But he was establishing my footsteps. You see, when my father died at 8 years old, I didn't understand. When I got older, I said, why? Why? I didn't know he was making me into the independent man I am today. The strong-willed, strong-minded, emotional leader that I am today. I didn't know that at that time. But here I am as I read my scriptures and I pray and I sit in church and I let the word talk to me. I figured it out. See, when I got to high school, when I was leaving boys, when I wanted to leave Boys Hope, I didn't understand. I had my own thing. God, listen, when I want to leave, I'm getting out of here. I'm going home. This is it. But see, I was making my ways. He was just establishing my footsteps. You see, when I got to college and I had that first time when I went to transfer, see, I told you I was coming back. I had my ways. No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to Illinois. I'll be Big Ten Player of the Year. I'll be top 5, top 10 pick if I can do that in the Big Ten. I was making my ways. He was establishing my footsteps. And lastly, with my last accident, you know what I said? I said, man, now this is it. I'm done. I'm not playing football. I'm never going out again. I'll never show my face in the city of Louisville again. I was making my ways. He had already established my footsteps. So I don't know who I'm talking to tonight. I don't know who that message touched the most tonight. But I thank you all for coming out. And I want you to know, whatever you're going through, let him establish your footsteps. Don't let your heart make your ways. And even when you have a hard time trusting him and letting go and let God, and when you pray for something that doesn't come through, you just remember, those are just waves hitting the boat, but you're still here. That's just water coming into the ship. So I pray for each and every one of you. I do. I pray for your safety. I pray for your happiness. I pray for your relationship with Christ. That if you don't have it, that you do find it. I thank y'all for coming out. And I got to tell my campers, I love y'all. And I hope that
If God is making your way, no weapon formed against you will prosper. That's the truth of his word. And we can hold to that truth.